Morning, everybody, and welcome to today's workshop. Normally, when I do my 2-hour workshops, I a little bit more organised than this, I must say. I've had a few technical difficulties this morning, so I really do apologise for jumping in right at the last minute, but grateful to have got everything sorted and to be here. So today we are talking Mailchimp 101. We're going to be spending 2 hours together, so there'll be plenty of opportunity for you to ask questions and get all of those fears, uncertainties and doubts that you may have around using Mailchimp sort of sorted out for you today. So we are going to be going live into the system, but I'm going to be having a bit of a chat to you about Mailchimp first. So we won't waste any more time and I will get into it. Hopefully I'm sharing the correct screen there. If I can have a bit of a thumbs up from somebody, just making sure that you can see my presentation. Excellent. Thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate that. So I can get straight into it. You will notice that I will turn off my video from time to time. Unfortunately, I'm in the area of the floods and internet is very unstable at the moment. So if I see that it's coming up unstable, I will be turning off my video as I go through. You'll get just as much out of the presentation, whether you see my face or not. So as we get into it, obviously this webinar is brought to you through the federal government's Digital Solutions Program and is proudly brought to you across Queensland, Northern Territory and Western Australia by Business Station and Treaty Business Consulting. We're very proud to be part of this program. We think it's really important that business owners are digitally savvy and there's a lot to learn when you're a business owner now about things digital. You will notice that your microphones are muted. Now this is for the comfort of the recording, but as I said, it is interactive. So if you have any questions that you would like to have answered, please pop them into the chat feature for me and I'll make sure that I cover those things off for you. Everyone who was registered will receive a copy of the recording as well. So excuse me. All right. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kerrie and I'm the co-founder of Altitude Business Solutions. And as I said, we've been a part of this digital solutions program now for about 2.5 years and something that we're really proud of. So you'll get to know me over the next 2 hours today if we haven't met already. Now, you're in the right place today if you're ready to get an inside look of Mailchimp and some of the best practices for using the platform. Now, you may be somebody who already is using Mailchimp, but not sure if you're using it to the full advantage. Or maybe you're considering email marketing as a type of marketing that you would like to use. What I'm going to ask you guys to do, just so I've got a bit of an idea of the type of audience that I have with me today, is in the chat feature, if you could just let me know 2 things. If you are a user of Mailchimp already, or if you are considering using Mailchimp, just so I've got an idea of the type of audience that I'm dealing with and I can make sure I adjust what I go through today. Excellent. Thank you. Not yet using, but wondering, considering using it. This is a great one for you to come to, Danielle. Currently using, but in the beginner stage. Thanks, Nicole. So a lot of you considering using Mailchimp today. So hopefully I will be able to cure your fears and uncertainties around Mailchimp. One thing I will say about Mailchimp is it's not the, how can I explain it? It's not the Apple of email marketing platforms. And what I mean by that is, a lot of people get Mailchimp and then they're like, well, this isn't user-friendly at all. I have no idea how to use it. Mailchimp is not sort of known for being user-friendly. There we go, Deb, trying to use it but finding it confusing. Absolutely. So hopefully we'll be able to cure that for you today. In terms of the features that Mailchimp actually has, it has some amazing features, but many people just don't utilize them because they're not really sure on how to use it. So hopefully we will go through all of that today and cure those fears and uncertainties for you. So what you're going to learn today, we're going to be talking about what Mailchimp is. I want to have a little chat to you before we go live inside Mailchimp about engaging subject lines and images, just because I feel that's a really important conversation to have if you are going to be considering email marketing for your business. So I really want to clarify that. And then we're going to go live inside Mailchimp, inside the dashboard, and have a good look. So what is Mailchimp? Well, Mailchimp is a marketing automation platform and an email marketing service. So basically, this is where you send out all of your emails to your clients and any type of advertising emails that you might be doing. And it's a program that keeps you spam compliant. Okay, so what I mean by that is if you are going to be emailing someone in relation to a business, you need to be spam compliant. So you need to make sure that there is always a way for somebody to unsubscribe from your emails and make that decision on their own. That is part of the spamming rules here in Australia. So Mailchimp will take care of all of that for you, and it keeps track of all of your contacts in terms of emails. When you have a paid version of Mailchimp, you can actually see all the analytics, and I'll show you that today as well. So you can actually go down and see who has opened your emails, what they have clicked on, and it will give you hot clients and all of that kind of stuff. Now, we all know that privacy laws are changing, and we've probably noticed it, especially if you're an Apple user, in terms of using your phone now. You get these little warnings that come up and say, you know, do you want to be followed by this program? And most of us select, no, we don't really want to be followed anywhere, do we? And we know that this kind of technology is coming to email in the not too distant future. So the reason why I mention that is because now is the time to start doing your email marketing and collecting that data while you can, because you may be restricted from doing so down the track. So, and there's going to be restrictions on emails down the track. So now is really the time to get into it. I don't know if I'll wait till I get through these few slides, because I do have a couple more things to tell you about email. In terms of pricing for Mailchimp, they do have a free version, and many of you here today may be on the free version. And then they have paid versions, which give you more features. I've noticed since the last time I did this presentation, Mailchimp has actually had a price increase. So the essentials used to be $9.99, it's now $11, and the standard used to be $14, and it's now $17. So when you're paying that subscription, it's normally paid at a year anyway, so you'd be locked into that pricing for a year. The thing that you need to be careful of in terms of whether you are going to go from a free to a paid, obviously free gives you a limited amount of features, and the paid version has a lot more features and analytics. But I just want you to be really careful about the number of people that you're putting into your database, because the way that Mailchimp works is it charges you per contact, or per 500 contact that you have in the system. So I'm a big one for putting everybody into my Mailchimp, but I'm also really big on, I'm happy to clean them out. So if somebody unsubscribes, I'm okay with that. I don't want to be sending and paying to send somebody an email that they don't want to receive. So a lot of people will get Mailchimp, they'll be paying their $17 a month and then be too scared to send out an email, because what if they unsubscribe? I'm happy if they unsubscribe, because it keeps my subscription down. I have around about 1,500 people in my database at the moment, and I have a turnover all the time, and that's just something that I don't worry about. It's not that people don't want to do business with me. This is the way I look at it. It may be that they don't like to open email, or maybe it is that I'm not the right business for them. Maybe they're digitally savvy enough that they don't need somebody like me to be able to help them out and refer to. So that's the pricing in terms of Mailchimp. And a lot of you will probably start out on the free account, use it for a little while, and then decide whether you're going to upgrade from there. I want to touch on engaging subject lines and images, because one of the things that I find is a lot of people start doing email marketing or decide to start using Mailchimp, and they send out their first couple of emails and they just simply go, it didn't work. I used Mailchimp before and it didn't work. Mailchimp simply just sends the email out and gives the person the option to be able to unsubscribe, and gives you a platform to be able to see where everybody's at in terms of whether they're one of your subscribed contacts or not. If an email is going out and it is landing in spam, it is not being opened, it is not being read, that is not necessarily because of Mailchimp. That could be because of not engaging subject lines where people want to actually open the email. We've all seen those. There's very few emails. If somebody send me an email, I'm going to give an example of a company. Let's say Rockman sends me an email that says 50% off sale today only. Today, I'm probably not going to open that. I don't have time to go into Rockman's and buy clothes today. I know exactly what that email is going to be about. I'm not going to open the email at all. So their open rate on an email like that may not necessarily be that great because it's not intriguing me enough to open up. It's very descriptive. It's very, it's not exciting me to open it up. It's like there's a sale. If I want to buy clothes, oh, great, I've got time to go in today. Bang. But if it said something along the lines of, would you like a discount coupon to purchase clothing at Rockman's? That might be something that I'd open up and leave for another time. But if it was about a 50% off sale today, then you would be able to, you might sort of discount people from opening it. So it's not necessarily, I guess the point by me saying this is that it's not necessarily the platform that is the issue. Sometimes it's the subject lines and the images. So a lot of people ask, what is an engaging subject line? I think what's interesting about this is that we've all seen those subject lines that we don't like. We don't like those salesy subject lines. We don't like, there's ones, tricks are a really good example. I've got that in here as well. We want it to be something quick that grabs people's attention and has them wanting to open the email to read a little bit more. I really get cranky when I see these tricks come through because I fall for them all the time. That's exactly why I don't like them. So if you're sending me an email for the first time and you type in re our phone conversation or re something, I'll think that that's someone that I've dealt with and I'll automatically open it up and then it will say, and you could buy this, 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 and this. And I go, oh gosh, I've fallen for this one again. I find it really annoying. Now, what that does is it actually increases their open rate. Which is a stat that you will be going through and talking about. It increases the open rate of that. But what normally happens is when I open up that email and it has nothing to do with a phone conversation that we've had, then I will unsubscribe immediately. I will not keep being subscribed to that company. So these people will have a massive amount of unsubscribes because that's what the majority of people do. Or they will just simply open and delete, which costs them money in the long run. So please don't use any tricks in your subject lines, but do think about your subject lines. Do you think, is that a subject line that I would open? You want something that gets their attention, but is also relevant to the information that you are sending. So the example on the screen I have here is 7 steps to living peacefully with a workaholic. Absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but that tells you exactly what it is. The number 7, when it comes to numbers, putting numbers in your subject line actually really works well, but odd numbers really get people's attention. The odd numbers tend to be more believable. I don't know why. You'll notice that in a lot of blog posts as well. 13 ways to be able to do this sounds more believable than 10 ways to be able to do this. Don't ask me why. It's just a stat. They all know that odd numbers get clicked on more often than even numbers. So putting a number into your subject lines, 7 steps to living peacefully with a workaholic, there are going to be people who are not interested in that subject. There are going to be people who put that aside to read later. There are going to be people that open that now. But it's getting their attention a little bit. So that would be an example of an engaging subject line. Engaging graphics is another thing that is really important. So your graphics that you are using within your email, you need to make sure that they look professional and that they're relevant to the subject line, so that you don't sort of turn people off. But one thing that I want you to be really conscious of as well is that in some emails, or in a lot of emails, Gmail is a really good example. I use Gmail. If someone sends me an email for the first time, Gmail will not automatically download any images. So if you've created this beautiful email and it's all one big complete image, I'm not going to see any of it unless I open up the images. And sorry, Lucy, yes, the recording will be sent to you. You'll all get a copy of the recording, absolutely. So lots of information in here today, so you'll get a copy of it. So I may not necessarily see any of your email if it's full of a lot of pictures, because my Gmail is set up that it doesn't automatically download the images unless I give it permission to. So just be wary of that. I put minimal images within my emails, and I also make sure that if I do have an image, and let's say I have an image and the image has words on it, something along the lines of, for my business as an example, upcoming workshop on Mailchimp, that might be an image that I have within the email. I always make sure that that wording is also actually typed into the email, simply because if someone doesn't open up the images, the text will always show. Okay, so it will always show the text, but it won't always show the images. So if I've only put the information in the image and someone doesn't allow images to come through, they're not going to see any of the information. They're going to open it up, they're going to see a blank screen, and they're going to be like, what's this that's been sent through? Now, a lot of people are digitally savvy enough to know, I need to download the images, but some people simply aren't, and they don't know. And I have clients in the beginning when I first started using Mailchimp who would come back to me and say, you sent me a blank email, ? And I go, oh no, you need to actually click up the top and allow images to come through for you to see it. So that was a mistake that I made in the beginning when using Mailchimp. I didn't realize that not everybody could see those images. So always repeat any text that you put in an image in the wording. So that way, you know that if someone doesn't open the images, they're still going to get the information that they need. Just a little tip from you as well. Videos can be used in terms of but you can certainly put an image in that sends somebody to a video, to a YouTube video or something along those lines. And there are other programs that allow you to embed video within the email. They are a lot more expensive to use. So the cheapest one that I can think of off the top of my head, I think Flowdesk might be one that allows you to embed a video. And they start at, I think they're $49 a month now from memory. But Mailchimp doesn't have that feature yet. So if you're wondering about places to design your images, Canva is a really great place to start. They have lots of templates that you can use and the option for a free account as well. So, okay, so now we're going to go live inside Mailchimp. So any questions? Oh, sorry, Sarah. I can see a couple of questions coming through.
Yeah,
if you just want to explain to me, what do you mean by, is there an
it was on the IT support. There was interference.
Oh, I can't hear you. I can't, for some reason, I've got no sound on you. You are unmuted, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, nothing's coming through from my end.
Right.
Just try again now for me.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. Sorry, no, it was my end, not your end.
Oh, I was just going to say I think it was on the IT support button. There was a lot of interference. There was people talking and I couldn't hear what you were saying. You mentioned something about with if you want to embed video, and you said that you mentioned some kind of software, but I missed what that was.
So there's another email platform that does allow you to embed video into the email. It's called Flowdesk.
Okay.
Flowdesk. It is more expensive to use than Mailchimp. Right. It is a little bit more user friendly, but it just depends on what stage you were really at. Whether you choose to go down that track or not. The analytics in Flowdesk are nowhere near as good as Mailchimp. We nearly changed over to Flowdesk at one stage, but after using both for a month, we realized that the analytics in Mailchimp are very, very important for our business, so we know where we're at. So, and Flowdesk doesn't have that. But if you're just sending your emails out to 20 people a month, then Flowdesk might be suitable for you as well. So does that answer your question? Great. And I do apologize for the sound there. There was a couple of people that were not muted, so that might be the reason why there was a bit of interference. I will stay on top of that for you. So any other questions before I go sort of live into the interface? No? Not at this stage? Excellent. Well, I'm going to go live inside Mailchimp. I've actually already signed into it. Now, Mailchimp does have double security. So when you sign in, you will notice that if you sign in once a fortnight, I think it is, once every 14 days, it will ask you to verify your email, ask you to verify your security. I've actually got mine hooked to my phone, which is part of it. So it sends me a text message with a code and you enter a code in. So that's just double security. If you're in Mailchimp all the time, which I am pretty much every day, about once every 14 days, it'll ask you to verify that again, just for your security. So I really like that because I don't like, I want to make sure that all of the information I'm entering in is secure. So Danielle's asked a question, which is a really good one, is can you send emails from Mailchimp if you have a Gmail address? Yes, you can. It can be from any email address. Okay, so that makes it very simple. You do have to verify the email because Mailchimp wants to make sure, yep, Outlook, Yahoo, any email address you can use. You will have to verify the email address. So what that means is when you put the email in, Mailchimp will say, we need to verify this email address to make sure it's right. You click verify, it sends you an email and you click on the link to say, yes, verified. And then Mailchimp knows it's the right email address and you're right to use it. So you can do that with any email address. Absolutely. So this is the very basic, interface or front screen of Mailchimp. So this is what you will see. They have had an upgrade recently, which I'm very, very happy about. Over to the left-hand side, you'll notice this is what I call the vertical menu. So when I refer to the vertical menu, you will need to go over to this side is what I'll be talking about. What they did have is they only had these little symbols. They didn't have the words next to it. And that was very confusing for new users who didn't understand what the symbols meant. So they have recently added the words back in. So I'm very happy with that. I read a blog that said free ones will not work for test emails. I never had a drama. I never had a drama with any email Wensley coming out of Mailchimp. So you shouldn't have any dramas at all. I use a couple of different accounts as well. So over to the left-hand side, we're going to be going through this vertical menu so you understand what all this is, keeping in mind that I have a paid account. So on the free account, depending on what's happened with this latest upgrade, you may not see everything that I'm seeing here because it may not show you every tab. Unfortunately, I need to sort of probably open up another free Mailchimp account so I can see what's going on in the free version. I know that I'm signed into my account because at the very bottom, I can see my Altitude Business Solutions logo. And as I hover over the top of it, I can see Altitude Business Solutions. So that is in the bottom left-hand corner. Now, the home screen that it's putting me on, this is giving me a bit of an overview of the latest emails that I have sent out. So, I was talking about those stats that I find it's really helpful for the stats to let me know where my email is at. This is the last email that we sent out. On the 16th of February was the last bulk email. So you can see by that I do not send out emails all the time. That's the 16th of February and it's the 9th of March today. So on the 16th of February, we sent an email out to 1,011 people. It had an open rate of 31% and 10.2% of those people clicked through, which is really cool. And out of those 1,011 people, there was 1,003 successful deliveries. Now, why is that different? For a couple of reasons. Sometimes people's inboxes get full, particularly if they work for a company. So if they have an email address that was, Kerrie at altitudebusinesssolutions.com.au, those email inboxes normally have a certain amount of storage. And when they get full, it becomes a full inbox and we can't deliver email to them. And that's not just Mailchimp, that's anywhere. If you tried to email that person from Gmail, it wouldn't go through either. So Mailchimp is telling us that 1,003 people actually received that email. Out of the 1,003, 585 actually opened it, or it was opened 585 times. And then there was 43 click-throughs. Now, none of this probably makes any sense to you guys because you don't know what the email is. But this is where I'm going to talk about a couple of stats because people always ask me, what is the average open rate for an email? And the average open rate for an email is between 23 and 25%. So this is a Mailchimp stat. They do these reports once a year, or maybe twice a year now. And the average rate at the moment is 23 to 25%. So what that means is, if you send your email out to, say, 100 people, I'm just going to keep it simple for my math. If you send it out to 100 people, between 23 and 25 people are going to open it. And a lot of people go, oh, that's not very many out of 100. But you might only need one or two of them to actually purchase anything from your website or wherever you're sending them for it to make a big difference in your business. I do apologize if you can hear some noise in the background as well. I've got somebody else working from home today as well, a little bit distracting for me. So these stats for me are really important because, as you can see, my open rate is 31.9%. So as long as I see this percentage rate is above 25%, I'm happy. I know it's above the average. If this is not above 25%, then that's when I start looking at my subject line. Is my subject line not any good? I'm very direct with my subject line. So this email here, I'm looking at it, this will be about our upcoming webinars and workshops and all the details of what they are. So it would have said upcoming webinars or workshops for February. So I'm normally very direct with my subject lines when it comes to these types of things. So this is giving me the stats on the last email, and that will change every time I send an email out. That will change. As I scroll down, it's showing me the unsubscribes. Now, remember I said I don't worry about the unsubscribes. And, you know, people will unsubscribe for their own reasons. So you can see here on the 8th of March, I had 2 unsubscribed. So what's really interesting to note about this is I haven't sent an email out since the 16th of February here. So I do have a little bit of automation going on in the background, which I will talk about, but we've got 2 on the 8th of March. We had 7 unsubscribed on the 27th of February. We had 8 unsubscribed on the 17th. So you can see I've got a lot of subscribes and unsubscribes coming in and out of my Mailchimp all the time. And I don't stress out about the unsubscribes. I just focus on getting more people in there. So you'll see here 11 subscribers imported or updated. So that is where I've possibly gone to a networking event and collected some business cards or collected some email addresses, and then I've added them to my Mailchimp. So I'm adding people in. So I don't want you to stress out about the unsubscribes. Just don't stop continuing to send emails out. You can also do social posts through Mailchimp as well. When you have the paid version, you can actually link in your, say, Facebook account as an example, your Facebook page. And so when you send that email, it can automatically also put a post on your Facebook for you as well. I don't use it all the time. You can see this hasn't been used since the 4th of February. I don't do it all the time because I do a lot on social media anyway, so I don't want to overwhelm them with information. But that is what that home screen is about. So it's just giving you a rundown of your latest campaign and a few little stats on, you know, your total audience there, 1,146, and then the unsubscribes that are happening. So that is the home page. That's what you land on when you go to Mailchimp and you sign into it. Now over to the left-hand side in the vertical menu, you'll notice from the top, we've got create, audience, campaigns, automation, website, content studio, and integrations. So I'm going to go through each of these tabs to make sure that you understand the full interface. So there is a couple of how to easily update a database when you have 3,000 or 4,000 contacts, send in batches. I will give you I'll give you some tips on that very shortly. I'm just going to save that little question there for a little bit later. Once they unsubscribed, is that email address left out of the next email automatically? Yes, it is. So if someone unsubscribes from your email list, they will stop receiving emails from you. And I have this all the time where people unsubscribe and then they go, you stopped sending me emails. And the great thing is with Mailchimp is you can actually go in and I go, oh, that's because you actually unsubscribed on the 2nd of February, 2022. And they go, oh, okay, did I? Gee, that was an accident. I didn't mean to. Now, if that happens within Mailchimp, you can't do anything about it from your end. in terms of being able to automatically open that person up to receive emails again. You have to send them an email through Mailchimp, which we'll go into a little bit later as well, and ask them to resubscribe. So it sends them an email saying, would you like to resubscribe? And they have to say yes and enter in their email address. You can't actually do it from your end. And that is what the spamming laws are about. Okay, so Mailchimp is protecting you. So there's no way for you to be able to go in and just add that person again and that person go, oh, hang on a second, I never asked to be subscribed again. Even if you upload that same email address again into the system as a new contact, Mailchimp will recognize that it's already an unsubscribed email and it will not send them emails. So that it protects you in that way, and that's what the spamming laws are there for. So the first tab that I'm going to touch on is audience, and I'm just going to click on the little arrow that is to the right-hand side. I'm actually quite happy my internet's being very responsive today. Being around the Logan River where the floods have been, we've had terrible internet for the last week and a half, so I'm really happy to see it responsive today. So as we scroll down, you'll notice that there is sub-menus here. So there's an audience dashboard. We'll go into that in a second. There is all your contacts. There is sign-up forms, tags, segments, surveys, preference center, and inbox. Now, a lot of this stuff you won't use, and a lot of it on the free version you may not be able to see as well. But if I take you to the audience dashboard, if I just click on that sub-menu, it takes you to this. This is where we are now, this audience dashboard. And again, it's giving you a bit of a stat overview of your current audience. I don't so much look at the top of the top of this here, the recent growth. I just focus on getting people in, as many people in as I possibly can. So you can see from the 7th of February to the 9th of March, there's been 31 new contacts that have gone in there. My aim is about $50. There's about 50 people a month. So that I like to try and get in there. These are my tags that I have set up. And I'll talk a little bit more about tags in a minute, so that makes a little bit more sense. But as I scroll down, you'll notice, where are your contacts coming from? You can connect Mailchimp to multiple different platforms. So you'll see here, if we look at the 19%, we've got Podia down there. Podia is a program that I use to run my online digital community. And so we've got 19% of this 31 people have come directly from Podia. So you can connect things up. One question that people often ask is, what are the programs that you can connect with? What I say is, look at your program. Most of them do link in with Mailchimp. Mailchimp has been around for a long time, so most of them do. There are so many that link in with this now. So I don't bother showing, giving you a list, because there's literally hundreds of them. So if you want to find out whether a particular program will link in, and what I mean by that is, if you have a CRM system, let's say you're using Zoho, which is a free CRM, they would link in with Mailchimp. So what that means is, when you enter information into Zoho, their email address will automatically land in Mailchimp and subscribe them to your email. So it's all kind of connected together. And that just makes life a lot easier. It kind of means that you don't have to move somebody from your CRM over to your Mailchimp. It just automatically happens. So as I said, there are hundreds of programs that link in with Mailchimp now. So I'm not going to give you the list. I'm just going to ask you, do a Google search. Does it work with MyOb? You'd have to double check. You can see, I don't know if you saw at the top here, there's a new integration with QuickBooks. Just do a double check. Do a Google search. Does MyOb link with Mailchimp? That's simple. And it'll come up saying yes or no. It depends. Some of those accounting programs, they need to go through a very stringent security process with Mailchimp. So some of those programs, when it's, obviously that program's to do with the money and the intake of your business. So some of those programs have a very high security. So Mailchimp has to meet a certain criteria to get there. So it can take a little while. But as you can see, QuickBooks has just gone across to be integrated. So check that out. As I scroll down, this is the section here that, yes, it does integrate with the booking system. Calendly, there's so many of them. They all integrate with Mailchimp. I haven't found one that doesn't. So yes, they do. This predicted demographics I use all the time. This is a really interesting stat, and I'm a bit of a numbers girl, bit of a numbers nerd. So as you can see here, 64.4% of my email recipients are female, which is really interesting. What's also interesting is that you tend to attract your tribe. I don't know whether you guys experience this in business as well, but I didn't necessarily set out just to attract women between the age of 45 and 54, but because that is the category that I fit into in terms of I'm 46 years old and I'm a woman, people relate to me a lot more. So you can see one of my biggest audiences there is my tribe that I'm naturally attracting women between the ages of 45 and 54. So this can give you a really interesting insight into your business, particularly when you're starting out, because when you're starting out, you might say something like, I know that my ideal client is a 25-year-old male and he works here and he lives here and this is what he does. And we have this ideal customer. But then through using programs like Mailchimp, you start realizing that the people that you're attracting and the people that you're communicating to are actually the women between 45 and 54. So it gives you that really good insight. And you can see that that is 43% of my audience there. So I find this stat really helpful. And as we scroll down, it's going to give me a little bit of an engagement score. So what it's saying here is that 48% of the emails that I sent out are highly engaged with my emails. It's a great little stat for me. I'm quite proud and happy with that stat. That means I'm probably not sending out too many emails, and I'm probably sending them out information that they want to know. So because I don't send out a lot of emails and they know that when I do, they get stuff that is relevant or important or helpful to their business, they're engaging with it and they're opening it up. So that's a nice little stat to have. And then I've got 12% of them sometimes. So that's the percentage of people who are moderately engaged. And then I've got 34% of subscribers who are not engaged and don't open up emails at all. Now, when we look at those stats, I want you to think about if you were to walk into a room of 100 people, do you think that, to actually be compatible and friendly and do business with 48% of that room is pretty unlikely, isn't it? Like it's pretty unusual that you'd walk into a room and click with 48% of the people in the room and be engaging to that 48% of people. So in terms of an email, it just means that what I'm sending out is relevant to more people. And that's a really important stat to know. This also over here gives me top locations. Now, this is a really good one for me to show you because I don't focus in on this too much, and I'll tell you why. You'll see my number one up there is actually Ashburn over in the USA. And then it's got Brisbane and then it's got Broadbeach. I'm located halfway between Brisbane and the Gold Coast, so these are probably more accurate to me. The reason why this one here will be number one is because it depends on the email platform that they are using. The email platform that they may be using, and I don't know which one, but I'm just going to give you an example. Let's say it was Yahoo, right? It may have an actual bounce location of Ashburn, USA. So what happens is when Mailchimp sends out the email, it actually bounces to there first before it lands to the person here in Australia. So Mailchimp takes this as their location. That's not necessarily true. Okay, that's the location of the email that they may be using. And that's the stat that it's picking up. So I don't really look at this too much. I know the majority of people that I deal with are located in Australia, and they're normally in Queensland, Northern Territory, or Western Australia. So they're the kind of three states that I focus on. And my 2 and 3 are Brisbane and Broadbeach. So that's great. That tells me those are good. So that is that audience dashboard page, just to go over. And as I said, there's a lot of information in this 2 hours today. So, and that's why when you get the recording, it's important to probably go through it again and just touch base on the tabs that you need to know about. Then we go into all contacts. Now, this is where all of your contacts are going to be located. And as I was just talking about how amazing my internet is, it starts slowing down. So I think I will turn off. Oh, my little bar just moved then. There we go. I'll turn off my video so that it goes a little bit faster. Okay, so as I scroll down, you'll notice that there is a lot of email subscribers in there. These are all my contacts. I've actually got 1,146 contacts in there, and 998 of them are subscribers. So you notice there is some unsubscribes. I hover around that 1,000 under most times. You'll notice across the top here, I call this in the middle. This is the horizontal menu. So when I talk about horizontal menus, that's what I'll be talking about. You'll notice we've got the overview. That basically just takes us back to the page where we were at previously, but gives us a couple of other graphs. So it talks about audience growth. There's not too much change there. The number of people that have subscribed and unsubscribed since the last time that I sent an email out. I want to just touch base on cleaned. What does cleaned mean? So cleaned is something that Mailchimp automatically does. Let's say I was on your email list and you continued to send me emails and they were landing in my inbox, but I was not opening them on a regular basis. And maybe I hadn't opened one for 6 months. After 6 months, Mailchimp kind of goes, look, I don't think that person's going to be opening your emails anytime soon. It may very well be that they are landing in spam because of how I've got my inbox set up. You know, I might have a very high security on my inbox, so you could just be going to spam and I'm not seeing them. Rather than Mailchimp continuing to charge you for that person that is simply not opening the email, it cleans them out for you. So since my last campaign, Mailchimp has automatically cleaned out 3 people. And again, I'm okay with this. I really only want to be sending out emails to people who want to receive the information that I'm sending and are happy to open it. So if these people haven't opened and I'm landing in spam, they're not seeing me anyway. So I'm happy for Mailchimp to do that, and I appreciate that. Again, a bit of a graph on the campaign performance that we just went through. The only interesting thing here is that, and this is an interesting stat because, you know, the average stat is that 88% of people will access things via their mobile phone, right? We're really used to accessing things on our mobile phone now. But when it comes to emails, look at this, 64.5% of people are opening my emails on a desktop computer. And this is a really good stat to know. And I think the reason for this, oh yes, my phone is on silent. I thought I'd just better check that, is because as business owners, or I work with a lot of businesses, so I'm a business to business business, I would jump on my computer in the morning and check my emails. That's one of the first things that I do. If I'm checking my emails from the road, I'm not necessarily opening them. I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, they're there. If I'm going to open an email, I'll normally do it on my desktop computer. And this shows that the majority of people are like that as well. So 64.5% of people will open up the email on a desktop, and also 43.7% of them are Gmail emails that I'm sending to. Really showing that Gmail has the monopoly there on the email side of things. And then mobile, for those that are opening via mobile, which is 35.5% of them, the highest users are on iPhone. So just some interesting stats there for you to note if you're a bit of a numbers person. And again, top locations, I'm going to ignore that because I know it's more related to the bounce rate, but Australia is sitting at the top in terms of the top locations. So that is that little tab there. So manage contacts, that will just give you the opportunity to view your contacts. And while Mailchimp automatically cleans and archives those people, you can always look at them by going to view contacts. I am going to go into view contacts because I just want to show you something here. I'm going to go into one of mine. I'm just going to scroll down. I'm going to find someone. Oh, we'll use Arwen. Arwen from Devon Pixies. For those of you that are in the Logan area, they'll know the Devon Pixies business. So Arwen has been on my database for a while. I can see that as I go into her contact, obviously her name and everything comes up the top there. I can see the tags that are on her as well, and I'll explain tags a little bit in a minute. I can see her personal open rate and her personal click-through rate. So that's kind of some good stats to know on each person, and of course her details over to the side as well. But this tells me about her activity feed. So this is telling me all of the emails that was sent out to her and what's actually happening with those. Now, here's a really good example. So on the 20th of February, there's an email that was sent out to her and it soft bounced. So what does soft bounce mean? So you know, I was talking about earlier, people's inboxes are full and they can't get emails. Sometimes those particular platforms, and Gmail's really good at not being one of these, and that's probably why they're one of the most popular email platforms, but they are really good at not being down. So sometimes the email platforms are down, so they can't receive emails for whatever reason, and this happens sporadically throughout the day. So that's what's happened with Arwen there. She's had a soft bounce. So that means Mailchimp has tried to send her an email. She hasn't got it, and it's not because her inbox is full. It's not a hard bounce because her inbox is full and they were unable to deliver. It's what they call a soft bounce. But as you can see, it was sent on the 17th. So Mailchimp will continue to try and deliver that for about 2 or 3 days. So that email was sent out on the 17th of February. And on the 20th, it went, look, we're classing it as a soft bounce. We couldn't actually deliver it for whatever reason. And then again, she's had that on the 5th. So as I go through, I notice even though she's subscribed, a lot of her emails are continually soft bouncing. Now, could that be a problem with her email address? Yes, absolutely. But it's interesting to be able to go in and see those stats on each and every person. So that's what it looks like when you actually go into each of the contacts. I'm just going to go back to the contacts tab so I can get you back to that little menu. A lot of information in here, guys, I know, but I just want to show you what Mailchimp has, because most of the time I find that people don't realize there is so much within email. To add a contact is very simple. You know, we've got manage contacts. If I go add a contact, which is the next horizontal tab across, it'll say add a subscriber or import contacts. Now I want to explain the difference between the two. If I add a subscriber, which I'll click on now, it comes up with a pretty little screen where I can add one person. So I can add in their email address, their first name, last name. Now people ask me, do you enter in addresses and phone numbers? Under normal circumstances, I don't bother. I have a CRM system for that I use. So I don't use Mailchimp as any kind of CRM. You can upload all of that information if you want to, and some of it will come across automatically. So for me, I have my Mailchimp also integrated with Eventbrite. So if someone books online to come to a webinar or workshop through Eventbrite and they enter in their phone number and all the details, that information will land automatically in Mailchimp, but I didn't put it in there. I don't necessarily collect it for everybody. The most important two things for me when I'm collecting data, if someone is on my website, the only thing they have to enter in is their email address. And a lot of people say, what about their name and their phone number? But you know yourself, when you're on a website and you're like, oh, this looks really interesting, and then a pop-up comes up saying, hey, do you want to subscribe to our email list? Just give us your name, your phone number, and your email. You're like, I'm not going to give you that. I don't even know who you are. But if something pops up and says, would you like to receive fortnightly information on how you can grow your business? Enter your email address here. I'm more than likely going to enter my email address. You're not asking for my name. You're not asking for my phone number. You're just asking for my email address. So stats show that the less information you can have on your subscription, the more likely people are to fill it out. So I have a lot of people that go to the website and will just fill that out to get the information, which is great. So I'm not a big collector of all of this, and I don't sweat the small stuff. But when you enter somebody in, you enter in the email address, their first name and last name, and the information that you want. And there's a couple of key things at the bottom. I want to talk about tags now. So tags are a really great way to be able to segment your audience. And as an example, when we first started our business, we were growing our business through networking. It was before everything happened with COVID, so we were going to a lot of networking events. We decided we'd attend every networking event that was free that we could find between Brisbane and the Gold Coast. And we were quite surprised by how many there was. When we would go to those events, our main focus was on finding out what other people did and getting a business card to be able to send them some information. In all of the time that we have been in business, and I go to networking events, because people say to me, how do you get their email address? Normally people say, what is it that you do? And I say, look, I'm a digital business consultant, so I help small business owners ensure that their digital systems are set up properly for their business. That's a lot for me to explain in a 30-second elevator pitch. Would you be happy if I sent you an email and that just outlined and explained exactly what it is that we do? And I've got a bit of a freebie that's attached to it as well. No one has ever said no. They hand over their business card and they're happy for me to do it. Now, for me, and I know that's a lot of you on here today that will feel the same, that is them giving permission for me to email them. So this little box here where it says this person gave me permission to email them, that gets ticked when I enter that person in. And the reason why, that'll just automatically add them to my email list. Otherwise, if I don't tick this box, Mailchimp will send them an email that says, hey, Altitude Business Solutions wants to send you an email. Do you want to receive it? And 80% of people are going to say no. So if someone is handing you their business card with their email address on it, as far as I'm concerned, that's giving me permission to email them. I do not need them to fill any form out electronically, and the spam laws don't actually require it. So you don't have to do it at this stage. So I always tick that box if someone's given me a business card. This exact same form, which is another reason why I love Mailchimp, they have an app as well that you can have on your phone, and the form nearly looks exactly the same. So you can add contacts to your database from the road, okay? You don't have to be just on desktop, you can do it from the road. In terms of tags, when we first started out, we just created tags. It's really easy to create a tag. If I just click on the plus button, I can actually find an existing tag, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to scroll down, look at all of the tags that we have. This will do a lot of people's heads in. All of them, all the tags. So as I said to you earlier, I have my Eventbrite account actually hooked into my email, so they join together. So every time someone books a webinar, they'll end up in my database, and Mailchimp automatically puts a tag on them, and these are the ones where it says event. See, event, free webinar, event, growing your business. So these are all coming from Eventbrite. It automatically puts those tags on for me. But when we started networking, and I'll see if I can find one here at the top. I'm not going to be, oh, no, that's not. Oh, here we go. Gold Coast Social Business Network. So that was a networking event or group that I went to once. So everybody that I met at that event, when I entered them in, I put this tag on them so that I knew that they were part of that networking group. As I scroll down, here's another one. Like-minded ladies in Logan. Local biz networking group, Logan. So these are all networking events that I went to. Logan Country Chamber of Commerce. So every time I met somebody at the Logan Country Chamber of Commerce, they got that tag. Now, why was this important for the growth of our business? It meant that if I met somebody this month at the Logan Country Chamber of Commerce, and next month I was going to the Logan Country Chamber of Commerce, I could, if I wanted to get savvy, send them an email out the day before saying, hey, really looking forward to possibly seeing you at tomorrow's Logan Country Chamber of Commerce networking event. Just wanted to let you know I was going to be there. Would love to catch up for a coffee. So you're sort of building a relationship with people. You're getting more personal with people. And so that was how we started out our business. And believe it or not, that is how we ended up on this digital solutions program. This is how we ended up. We met somebody at a networking event who we put into our Mailchimp, who we contacted on a regular basis, who said, you know what, you'd be great for this program. So we're very grateful for those that we did there. You can never have too many tags, and one person can have multiple tags. So let's say, for example, I met the person at the Logan Country Chamber of Commerce and they were a real estate agent. I could put both of those tags on there. That means I can segment my audience, say, show me all of the real estate agents or show me all of the cafes. And that way I can just send emails out to those people. Does that explain tags to you guys? Are you familiar with tags? Does anyone have any questions on tags before I move on? Because I normally find that people do. So before I move on from that little bit, I know we're just about an hour in. We're going to get up and have a stretch in a couple of minutes, just so we make sure that we keep limber, ready for the next hour. So you're all good, no questions. If you have a question, pop it into the chat. I'm happy to get it answered for you, okay? For those of you that have joined us afterwards. Can you exclude specific tags in email campaigns? No, you can say send it to these tags, but you can't say send it to everyone excluding these people. You can't do that. So what I would suggest is if you want to keep two things different, and I'm not sure what your circumstances are, Deb, but I'm going to say, let's say you had two brands. A lot of business owners do. They have one brand and they have another brand. I would be creating two separate audiences for those brands, so that there's no worry that you're accidentally going to email the wrong thing out. But yeah, unfortunately, you can't exclude a particular tag, but you can include it. Excellent. Oh, I got that right. So you do have two brands. Yeah. So I would be creating an additional audience, and I'll show you that in just a second, so you're clear on that. The other thing that when I'm entering people in, here's a little tip that I'll give you as well. If I always tick that this person gave me permission if they handed over their business card or gave me their details in any form. And I always tick if this person is already in my audience, update their profile. I always tick that one. I'll tell you why. Somebody may have met me before at a networking event. I never got their email address, so I didn't enter them in. But maybe they went to my website and they subscribed via the pop-up. Okay, the pop-up came up that said, do you want to subscribe? And they said, oh, yes, I want to do that. And they did that. So I actually have no idea that they're in my Mailchimp database because I didn't put them there. They've put themselves in there automatically. So when I say, put this person in, they gave me permission, and if they're already there, please update them. What will happen is it will update their existing profile that's in Mailchimp. So rather than having duplicates, you're not going to have duplicate email addresses. Mailchimp is very clever, and even though there is duplicates, it will only send the email at once. So you don't have to worry about that person receiving multiple emails. But if you tick update this person, it will automatically update the profile. So that just means if you've added on a tag here that maybe you didn't add on last time, it will automatically update that for you. So that's my little tip there for you. Is it better to create separate audiences or particular tags? This is a really good question. It is always better to use tags. Take my word for it. When I first started using email, the first Mailchimp account I had 5 separate audiences. It is such a pain unless you are dealing with 2 totally separate brands. And it's like, I'm going to email everybody for black brand now, or I'm going to email everybody for red brand. It is a real pain in the neck when you have multiple audiences. Tags are so much easier. You don't have to get out of one audience and into another one all the time. You can do everything in the one audience. When Mailchimp first started, they were all about creating separate audiences. And so I was a real estate agent at the time. So I would have an audience for my buyers, an audience for my sellers, an audience for my Brisbane buyers. I just had all these different audiences, and it was a nightmare because I could never bulk email them. So even though you might have separate tags for people, maybe at Easter and Christmas and the end of the financial year, you just want to email everybody. And if you have separate audiences, you have to go in and send an email to each separate audience. Whereas if you just have tags, you can say, send that email to everybody, guys, thanks for your support, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And it just sends it out to everybody. So can you go into a person and add tags at a later date? Absolutely, you can. Yes, you can. So if you met somebody at the Logan Country Chamber of Commerce, and then, you know, you realize that they were also a member of the Beenleigh Yatala Chamber of Commerce, you can add that tag later into each person if you wanted to. And you can simply do that from this page. If you're not sure, you don't have to go into your audiences. You can just add in their email address and then add in the tag and say, if this person is already in my audience, update their profile and click subscribe, and it will just update the profile for you. So tags will save you. They'll also make you look very smart as well. Is the contact white from here and will not show if they are unsubscribed? So if someone has unsubscribed from your email, when you enter their email address in here, and then you go down and say, if this person is already in my audience, update their profile, it will update all of the details that you have put in, but they'll still remain unsubscribed. Okay, there's no way for you to be able to change that. So if they are unsubscribed, you can't actually wipe contacts anymore. You can't delete contacts out of Mailchimp. They took that away about 12 months ago. So even though the contact is cleaned or archived and all of that kind of stuff, that works with an auto upload as well. So it will recognize the email address and it will recognize that it is unsubscribed. So Mailchimp works off email addresses. This is what's really key. And the difference between a email, like a Mailchimp email subscription service, as opposed to a CRM. A CRM works on names, right? CRM works on the person and on the name. A Mailchimp works on the email address. So if you enter that, let's say there's a couple and they both use the same email address. You know, Sarah Smith uses it and Bob Smith uses it. You meet Sarah at one event, she subscribes, that's all good. And then you meet Bob at another and you go to subscribe Bob, it will say this person is already part of your, even though it's Bob and Sarah and they're two different people, it will tell you that those people are already in your email address, email database. And if Bob unsubscribes, unfortunately, Sarah unsubscribes with him. And it won't send the email out twice. So it's all these key little things that you can't control when you're doing it yourself that you'll find very difficult, particularly when you get to 1,000 people. You're not going to know all of those email addresses. So tags will definitely save you. So as we go along this menu very quickly here, I'm just going to get through the rest of these. We've got sign up forms. So this is where you can have forms that people sign up to your email address. And I've just clicked on that. Sorry, I'll turn my video off again. You'll notice this is very easy. So a form builder, this is where you can actually build the form. An embedded form, for those of you who aren't familiar with that terminology, is a form that is put onto your website via a piece of code. So if you're if you built your own website, you would probably be familiar with this term embedded, but you can embed a Mailchimp form onto your website. So the person feels like they're entering their information on your website, but they're actually entering the information into a form, which is adding them directly to Mailchimp. So all the pop-ups that you see that are coming up, you see subscriber pop-up there. Again, a lot of people go, how'd you get that subscriber pop-up on your website? It was Mailchimp. And a contact form, which you can see is a new feature. And I haven't actually used that yet. But yeah, it lets your customers reach you directly with a contact form that sends messages to your inbox. The inbox is new as well, guys. You'll see that over to the side here. It's new and I have not used it at all. We'll go down to the tags. So I've just gone back over to the vertical menu and I've gone down to tags. This is where you can see all of the tags. So you'll see here, and some of them have like created 2019. It tells you when it was created, even the date and the exact time of when it was created. Now, if I go into each of those, let's find one that might be a little bit. Let's go into this one. Yeah. As I click on that, so I've just gone view to click into that. It is going to give me the entire audience that is within, that has that tag on it. This is where you can actually see the people that are in that particular tag. So if you're really, pernickety, I know some people hate the fact that some of them have names and some of them don't have names. And they're like, they've got to all have names. You will be able to go through and say, oh, no, that person doesn't have to have that tag. But I don't worry about that too much. This is just, for me, it's just knowing where they came from. If I scroll over, it tells me whether they are subscribed or whether they are unsubscribed. Now, please forgive me because I'm really not sure if you guys receive all of this information on the free account. But you can see it gives people a contact rating. That's kind of what I look at. So, we've got this person here. I can see that they were added on the 17th of February. There's been no changes since then. And for some reason, Mailchimp is saying that they are a strong contact at the moment because they have 4 stars. So you can actually go through and see your sort of contacts that work well. So yeah, that is all your contacts. Sorry, sign up forms, that's where I was. Oh, now it's having an absolute meltdown on me. This is actually really great. So I've gone into segments, which is another feature that's underneath audience. And again, this is one that I don't use. I use tags for everything because I just want to stay in the one screen. It says here that segments based on certain conditions might be impacted by Apple's new privacy laws. Now, this is a really good sneak peek into the future of email. Okay, so Apple is always has been, probably always will be a very progressive company, particularly when it comes to the privacy of everybody using their platform. They will always nearly be the first ones to introduce security that protects their users. So this is where some of the things that you are going to do leading into the future in terms of the stats that you might be able to see, whether they've opened an email or haven't opened an email. If they're using Apple Mail, you may not receive that information. Apple will not share that information back with Mailchimp. Thankfully, according to the stats that we looked at earlier, there was only about 7% of my 1,000 that were using Apple Mail. The rest of them were using Gmail or Yahoo, another platform, who at this stage have not introduced anything like that. But this is just a really good look into the future. Oh, sorry, just saw another question there. Can you go back to add contacts on the horizontal menu? There were 2 options. Let's go back to all contacts. It really is having a little bit of a hissy fit. Let me just redo this. Let's turn this off. It did this to me the other day as well. I'll just re-sign on. This is something I'll very quickly show you, not something I normally share, but you can have multiple accounts that link together. So we work for other clients. One of those clients is the Beenleigh-Yattley Chamber of Commerce because I'm currently the president. And so I have linked in their Mailchimp account with mine. So when I get to this page, it says, welcome back. Which account do you want to go into? Who do you want to service today? So yes, you could set up multiple accounts for your brands. That is another option for you as well. But, oh, now it's not going to work at all. This is not great at all, guys. It is having a real hissy fit. This is where I go, oh, I should really probably have screenshots organized. And it's definitely not my email. It's saying that my email is very strong. There was 2 options. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'll just let this have a little settle down for a minute and turn my camera back on. The 2 options were adding a new contact, and the other one was import. So let's say you had a list of people in an Excel spreadsheet that you wanted to add to your Mailchimp. Now, it may be that these have come from your CRM system, or maybe you're simply using an Excel spreadsheet to keep track of all your contacts at the moment and actually keep track of their email addresses. So you can actually import that whole entire list into Mailchimp. And there's two ways that you can do it. You can say import and it will actually upload it. We've all done that before, right? We've all imported some sort of document onto a website, or it's very simple, select the form. Or you can actually highlight, copy and paste. So you can go to that Excel spreadsheet, you can highlight the whole lot, and then you can just paste it onto the screen and it will paste all the information in there. Now, some little tips for you. What it does from there is Mailchimp's pretty clever. It can pick the column in that spreadsheet that is the email addresses. Okay, very recognizable. They've all got the @ symbol. So Mailchimp will go, is this the email address? Yes, that's right. That's the email address. But when it comes to the first name and the last name, it will ask for clarification on those. It will say, what is this column? What does this column mean? So, and same with the phone numbers. It will clarify that number is actually, is this for a phone number? And you just select it's a phone number, or that column is for the first name and that column is for the surname. And once you've selected all of those columns and it all looks good, you say import. And again, you'll get asked those two questions. And the two questions are, has this person given you permission to email you, to be emailed? And the other box is, if they are already in my database, please update the contact. Now, the first one is obviously, if you don't tick that first box that says this person has given me permission to email them, Mailchimp will send them an email first. So it'll send out a clarifying email saying, hey, Altitude Business Solution wants to send you an email. Are you okay with that? Or wants to add you to their email list. Are you okay with that? Mailchimp's stats on this are that 80% of people say no. Because even though when they met you face to face, they were happy for you to send them an email, they're not happy to be subscribed to some, list that you're going to be sending them stuff out every day because they don't know who you are. So those are the two options that you would have had there. So enter the contact one-on-one, which you can do from the actual desktop or from the phone if you've got the app. So a really impressive thing that we did when we were building our business, and I remember I said I went to every networking event between Brisbane and the Gold Coast that was free, is we would get people's email addresses and we would sit in the car park and we would enter them in via the app. Now we've got a bit of automation set up, which that was the next thing I was going to show you. So hopefully this comes good. Otherwise I'm going to be very cranky if I have to reset this and have another session with you guys. But it's not looking great at the moment. And it's not anything to do with me. There's a problem with Mailchimp there. So unfortunately, I'm at the stage where I sort of can't really move forward that much with you guys in terms of this. This is sometimes what happens with technology. Yes, there's definitely an issue there. So can I tell you, I've been using Mailchimp since 2012. I've never ever had this particular issue happen before, but very rarely is Mailchimp down without them knowing first and them telling me. So if there's some sort of an issue, I'm hoping there's not on my internet issue because I know my internet towers are down locally. Yeah, unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to sort of go in and keep showing you. So I'll just keep going. I will answer a few more of your questions. I find that closing windows and entering into another can clear the glitch. Okay, let's do that. Let's try anything. Let's close all of this off. Isn't it nice that I'm able to show you my nice clean desktop there? Let's try getting another screen here. Let's see. As I said, I'm willing to try anything to... Oh, there we go. Yeah, someone else is getting on there. So it's definitely a browser problem then from my end. Let's go here. It might have been that it was just picking up. It could be that it's picking up my IP address as well. and I'm being a little bit dodgy, I might have to open up a incognito window to get around it, but I'll just see how I go. Sometimes when I run these sessions in these digital programs, it thinks that I'm being a bit dodgy and I'm going into too many things at once. So it's a bit of a security issue and it locks me out and I have to go into an incognito window to make it work again. Yeah, so I'm going to try that now. Yeah, so see how it's going to send me, this is the two-factor authentication. I can't even say that word, but it's yeah. So basically they've gone, you look dodgy. We're going to get you to verify your security again. So this is a really great example for you to show you how seriously Mailchimp takes this information. They're really protecting it. So they've actually, what do you mean the code I provided? You just sent it to me. Probably entered it wrong. So see how it says skip this for 2 weeks? I only did this morning, so I know that it's been done. There we go. I've never had that happen before on one of these sessions. I was obviously being very clicky happy. So it recognized that there was an issue there. So yeah, back into that audience very quickly. And when I go to all contacts, those two options would be to enter in a contact manually. So one contact at a time. If I go to add contacts here, and the other one is import contacts. And that is where you can upload any kind of CSV file or an Excel spreadsheet, anything that has data in it can be uploaded, and Mailchimp will sort it into columns and you can just say, that's the first name, that's the second name, etc. So that is that. So I'm going to move on to campaigns because I think I've pretty much covered audiences. You can see all the things that you can do in there. You can actually see each individual person and what they've clicked on. But if I go into campaigns, this is where we start to build stuff. This is where we actually build stuff. So going into campaigns, what I want you to think of campaigns is anything that you are doing in Mailchimp. So Mailchimp gives you the ability to be able to send emails out. It gives you the abilities to send postcards to people, even though you don't have the address. Don't ask me how that gets done. But you can see over to the side here, there is also landing pages, there is social posts, there is surveys. So this is all available. We're not going to be covering surveys today. No, we're not going to be going into surveys. We're just going to be talking about email. And there's some automations that you can set up as well. So when it talks about campaigns, it's talking about any one of these things. Okay, so every time I send an email out, you can see I must have started to do an email. I've got one in draft here. But the last email that I've sent out is the 17th of February at 9:47. So that's the last email that I sent out, and it's giving me my stats and everything there. You can view a full report on that. We've been over a little bit of the reporting, but here's something really cool that I want to show you with the paid version. So I send that email out, and normally about a week later, I'll go back in and I'll have a look at this report here and I'll show you why. It gives me all the stats, things, how many people opened it, how many people clicked on it, etc., etc. But down here with these are the two things that I use all the time. So this click performance here, which is a report that I get in the paid version, you don't get this in the free version. It shows me all of the top links that are clicked within that email. So what I mean is if I've sent an email out that has multiple information in it, which this one did have multiple information, I want to know, excuse me, here are all the links here are all the links that are within that email. And I can clearly see straight away that the number one clicked on link in that particular email, which was clicked on 41 times, is for people to enter our digital community. So I can see that straight away. And the other thing that I can do, if I view the click map, it will actually show that to me in a more visual format. So see how it's telling me here, 10 people clicked here, 31 people clicked here, 2 people clicked here. So it's actually showing me the things in what's really interesting is nobody clicked on the social media links or anything down the bottom. So all this stuff that we put into our emails, and sometimes people don't click on it at all. So it's really interesting to see. I make sure any image that I upload, so this image at the top here would have had a link in it as well. I always put some sort of a link into my images. But this will show you straight away what's working and what isn't working. What are people clicking on? So I find that really, really handy. The other thing in that little report that I find handy is if I scroll down here, the open rates, that's all great. The age of the people, that's all great. Subscribers with the most opens. Now, if somebody is opening an email multiple times, what does that normally mean to you? For me, it's like they opened it, they didn't have time. Oh, it's a great email. It's got information in there that I want to read, but I don't have time to look at it now. So I'm going to come back to it later. So if somebody comes back and opens an email multiple times, it's probably because they're interested in what I have to offer, or they're what I like to call a hot client. So straight away, I know these people here are the people that I would be looking at as being potential. I mean, this one here is opened at 12 times. That's probably a little bit excess, but I use this all the time to then I can send that one person an email saying, hey, you haven't booked in yet. Do you want to book in? Because I can see they've opened it 6 times. So this is where the reporting comes in really handy as well. So I just wanted to show you that little bit extra for each of the campaigns. Let me just go back to all campaigns. There's one more thing that I really want to show you. I know we've got about 35 minutes together, and I will give a little bit of extra time because I know there was a bit wasted there getting back on. In my campaigns, I have an automatic email set up, and I really want to show you how this works because we set it up about 2 years ago, so about 6 months into our business. And for me, my email, just to give you an idea, what I spend on my email, we worked it out at the end of the financial year last year. So up until the end of June last year, we get a $41 return on every dollar that we spend on email. So what I mean by that is it costs us, I think, $39 a month for the email subscription that we have with Mailchimp. That's what we pay for the features that we have. For every dollar that I have spent on that email marketing, I have received a $41 return. Now, how do I know that? In the paid version of Mailchimp, it actually keeps track of if somebody actually goes to my website via an email and they purchase something on my website, it records that and it tells me all of that information. So if I told you today, give me $1 and I'll turn it into 41, would you hand me $1? Absolutely. And this is how valuable email is to us. I say to people, I have built my entire business on email. Yes, I'm on Facebook. I do all those other things, but I can guarantee you, if I look at the spend that I have spent on Facebook, there is no way I have a $41 return on every dollar that I am spending. They steal my money. They give me very minimal back. Email is the one thing that I can control. And email is the one thing that I don't overspam with. I send an email out. They know the emails they're going to receive have lots of information in it or things that they are wanting to know. And I think it's all because of this one automation that I have set up, which was an email that is called an ongoing email. So when you have the paid version of Mailchimp, you can set up emails to go out automatically on a regular basis. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. As I scroll down the side here, I'm just going to click on the email because I've saved it in a little folder down here. I've called it the onboarding series. Really boring name. We named it 2 years ago. We were not necessarily fussed on the name. Obviously, I've got some stats at the front here. It's a 28.9% open rate, which is not overly high compared, but it's a 2.6 click-through rate. So it's very responsive in terms of click-through rates. I'm just going to go to view the report here because I want to show you all of the different emails. Basically, what we've done, when somebody joins our mail list, we meet them at a networking event. It's telling you, go to my networking breakfast. I go, would it be okay if I sent you some information telling you a little bit about what we do? I go to the car park, I open up my Mailchimp app and I enter in them as a contact. Yes, they gave me permission to email them, and then I click enter, automation kicks in. I don't then have to go in and send them an email. I've got this automation set up. I've set up this automatic series where as soon as they subscribe to my Mailchimp audience, they will start receiving these emails. And as I scroll down here, you will see the first one is an introduction email and 19 social media post ideas. So remember my wording earlier where I said, it's a lot to explain in 30 seconds. Would you be happy for me to send you some information about what it is that we do? And I think there's a freebie attached as well that might be able to help you with your business. No one ever says no to me. This is the email they get. They get an introduction from me, which says, hey, we're Altitude Business Solutions. This is what we do. And they also have the ability to download 19 social media post ideas. That's the first email that goes out to them. So I've done what I said I was going to do. The impressive part about this is not only have I done what I said I was going to do, but I've done it from the car park at 8:30 in the morning before they've even got back to the office. So I get so many replies from people that say, oh my gosh, you're so onto it. I only met you this morning. Thank you so much for sending this through. Okay. Then what I've done is I've set up automation. So every single 14 days, you'll notice here it says 14 days, 14 days, 14 days. Every 14 days, they are getting an email from me with some sort of information in it that could be helpful to their business. Now, some are more successful than others. And as we go through, you'll have a look at those open rates. So you can see 46.4% of people open that initial email. So that's quite a successful open rate. And it's got the 10% click through because everybody wants to get that free 19 social media post ideas. They all want to get that, or 10% of them do. So you'll see there's lots of different subjects in there. Some are about marketing, some are about other things. I think I did one in the middle of the pandemic. Here we go, a parent's guide for bringing your child to work. Basically what happens with all of these is they are emails that actually go out that have click-throughs back to my website. So go back to read this blog, go back to read this information. So it's sending them backwards and forwards. So are they targeted to audience, or does this person get multiple emails every 14 days? Every 14 days. Every person that goes into my list gets this every 14 days. So I know that they're getting an email from me once a fortnight. Plus, they're also getting the one email that I send out once a month saying, hey guys, here's my webinars and workshops for this week. But this is all automated. So if I signed you up to my mail list today, you would start all the way back here at email number 1. And every fortnight, you are going to get an email. And if I go down, you can see how this is built up. I go down, we're up to email 39. So what's that? Over a year's worth straight away are already done. I don't need to worry about sending emails off to that person. These are all cementing me as an expert in my field. That's what these emails are about. These emails are about, gee, she really knows her stuff. I know that when I'm dealing with someone digitally, I need to build, they need to know, like, and trust me, but I'm going to need to have 18 touch points with them at least before they'll actually do anything. So sometimes I've got to have those 18 touch points just to get them into a free webinar. Some people are really hard to convince to come and do things with. But this automation has automatically created an audience for me. So are they targeted to audience, or does this person, oh, sorry, yes, I've already read that one. but you have over 15 automatic emails here. I'm a bit confused. Correct. Every 14 days, this person or whoever I add is going to get an email from me automatically every 14 days. I don't need to think about it now. I've added this in every fortnight. I've written an email and added it to this automation so that I don't need to think about sending emails out. It happens automatically. If I decided to stop writing emails today or creating emails today and I added you to my email list, you are going to get an email from me once a fortnight for the next 39 fortnights. It's automatically going to do that. What this does and why it's important is Mailchimp has literally become like my personal assistant. It is trying to stay in touch with my customers for me via email so that I don't have to think about it. And having so many different subjects, there is a question here that says, do you need to revise your content on those preset emails? Yes, you will need to. So you need to be careful about what you're sending out. Now, a lot of the stuff that I send out is very generic. Let's say you were a bookkeeper and maybe one of the...
I'm not sure I understand.
Sorry, Siri, I wasn't even talking to you. One of the emails that you might send out might be in relation to you claiming stationery. You know, what can I claim for my stationery? I understand as a bookkeeper or accountant, you're very legislated by what the ATO sets for that year, and that may change next year. You know, what they can claim this year may not be the same next year. So you need to be careful about the information you put in and understand that you are going to have to go back and revise it. I set these emails up so they are very generic. Okay, so let's have a look at one. The advantages of online marketing, that's very, very generic. Let me go back to one at the top here that I know is good. Optimizing your LinkedIn profile. Okay, so what happens here is in that email, and maybe if I click on the email, let's show us the email. I just can't remember if I can access the look of the email from this screen. It's thinking about it. So basically it just says, you know, ways to optimize, want to find ways to optimize your LinkedIn profile? Click here. Doesn't look like it's going to give me a view from here. Oh, here we go. Let's click view map. That'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, Sarah, really good question. My God, I repurpose everything. I repurpose everything. Gets sent multiple times. So this is the email that you're seeing here, okay? So optimizing your LinkedIn profile. If you're like many professionals, you probably created a LinkedIn profile and occasionally go back. But as you have more connections and comment on a few posts, however, there's much more that you need to do. Click here to read this. What's really interesting, I wonder if I can open that link in a new tab to show you. It is actually working. So when we talk about, Sarah just asked a question about repurposing. You're going to see that in a second. So you can see this is very generic, this email, okay? The actual email doesn't contain any information, but we know social media, LinkedIn, they update how you do things all the time, right? So if I was, you know, optimizing your LinkedIn profile today might be different in 12 months time. So where I'm sending them, which is to my website, needs to be updated. But this email is very generic. It also says, this is what we're committed to helping small business owners navigate their way through business. It's all very generic. Click here for our webinars and workshops. So it's leading everybody to my website. So do I have to continually update my emails? No, I don't, because of the way I've worded them. I've kept them very generic and I'm sending everybody to the website. If I go to the website, oh, this site can't be reached. Of course it can't. I knew I was going to have that drama with that link. Let's see. Go here. I'll take you to another one to show you just so you can get the idea, because here is our website and we have a blog, which is here. And this is probably clever for me to show you as well, but here are all of our most recent blogs. Here is the optimizing your LinkedIn profile. So I update this particular blog every 12 months. So this is when they get their email. This is what they're actually being sent to. They click on the link and they go optimizing your LinkedIn profile. Now there's 3 things that they can do from here. we spoke about repurposing content. They can listen to the podcast all about it. If they're a listener on the podcast, if they love podcasts, they can listen to the podcast. If they like watching YouTube videos, they could watch the YouTube video on optimizing their LinkedIn profile, or they can simply read the information on the screen. So when we talk about repurposing content, we're talking about taking one idea or one piece of content and repurposing it in different ways. And that's exactly what we've done with our emails. So we send those emails out once a fortnight. You can see the date at the top, 11th of the 11th, 21. That's the last time I updated this particular blog. And it has a little bit about us down the bottom. I just want to scroll to the very bottom here, because remember I was talking to you about being able to embed Mailchimp onto your website. This here where it says not ready yet, that's okay. Subscribe to our mailing list to receive fortnightly motivation, business tips, and free downloads. Who doesn't want to sign up for that? So this is in the bottom, in the footer of our entire website, so people can sign up all the time. And they can just enter their email address, click subscribe, and that is Mailchimp. That is not my website. So is that kind of making a little bit more sense to you now? It's a lot to take in, isn't it, guys? It's a lot of information here in this one today. And, obviously if you've come to this webinar through the Digital Solutions Program, you can book a one-on-one session with me as well. So you can go through that program, 3 sessions with an expert for $44. So we get to talk about your business and your email. But this is what they get. So they go through, and from there, so clicks per unique open, click-through rate, all of that's kind of there. They go through, and that's how they land on our website. So the answer to that question, which was very long, is no, I don't have to update the emails, because I make them very generic and I only update my website. I don't want to have 3 things that I have to update, when there's a change. I just want to keep it nice and easy. How long is a session? Look, it says that it goes for 60 minutes. I've had some sessions that go for nearly 2 hours. It just depends on what we're talking about. So the 14 days are staggered. So yes, every 14 days, when I look at those emails, wherever they are, no, back to workflow. Every 14 days, they're getting one of those emails. So they're not getting them all at once. It's every 14 days they're getting that piece of information. Yes, it's not sending it out to them all at once. So do you see how, I'm going to go down here. So the first email they get is the introduction. 14 days later, they get optimizing your LinkedIn profile. 14 days later, they get better communicator. 14 days later, they get planning in business. 14 days later, they get why should you hire a social media manager? Now, to the average person, you look at this and you go, holy cow, this is a lot to set up, right? Is this overwhelming when you see this and you go, I've got to do a lot of emails to get this organized? Let me tell you how we started. We started out sending an email once a quarter. So we set up an email to go out once. We did it once. Then we added another one. So we just did 4. So to create 4 emails was not overwhelming. Once we were kind of on top of that, we went, let's add in a couple more. And instead of sending them once every 12 weeks, we started sending them once every 6 weeks. And then we've just brought that down and down and down. Once I get to 52 emails, I'll probably change it over to once a week. And all of a sudden, it's not as overwhelming as what it sounds. So the question is, so how do you work out the days and dates for each email address? I don't. So when you add an email address, let's say it's a Monday and I go to a networking event and we meet on a Monday, I enter your email in, you will always get every fortnight. That will always be on a Tuesday, I think, because it comes out a day later. So the first one is 1 day after I subscribed. Ideally, I should change that to immediately, but 1 day after, and I might actually do that, change that to immediately. But it's based on the day that you put them, or they put themselves in the system, or you put them into the system. So if somebody else has entered it on a Friday, it's Friday. Yep, Mailchimp will automatically do that. You just say, send this email once every 14 days. You can even say, send it at 10 a.m. Send it once every 14 days at 10 a.m. You can actually give it a time and it will do that. So the key thing that I wanted to show you is at the top here, it talks about the number of emails that this particular automation has sent. And it has sent 33,139 emails on my behalf in the last 2.5, nearly 3 years. That's a lot of emails to send out. Do you think that you're going to send 33,000 emails out to your audience in the next 2 years? Probably not. So this automation has not only saved me a huge amount of time, but is the reason why I say email is the number one thing that has grown my business. This is where I get $41 return for every dollar that I have spent, because it is sending people to me automatically. And as I continue to use Mailchimp and as I add those emails, it becomes easier and easier to do. And this may all seem overwhelming because I've got 39 of them, but we would just start out very simply by let's create 4. Let's create an email that's going to go out once a quarter, so that when someone jumps onto your email list, they're going to get a welcome email, which is going to be, hi, this is me. This is what we do. Here's a freebie that might be able to help you out. That's going to get them opening that email and looking at it. Okay. And then we're going to set up 4 emails that are going to go out once a quarter. So you're going to stay in touch with them all year and you won't have to do anything. It would just send out those 4 emails automatically. So this is where the value in Mailchimp and the paid version of Mailchimp really comes into it. So that was it. A really key thing that I wanted to show you there in terms of the campaigns that you are sending out. And obviously this is a form of automation. So over to the left-hand menu, you notice it has automation as one of the tabs, and it's got customer journey. This is a new one, customer journey. I haven't even used this. Anything purple I haven't used yet, haven't got to it. Transitional email, retargeting, ads, and postcards. I've used the postcard. I tested it on myself. Mailchimp prides itself on being able to find people that you think you can't find. So I gave it, I think, my name, and it found my address on the internet and sent me a postcard. So it's pretty scary what you can find on the internet. But I haven't used any of these. The only automation really that I've used is that email that goes out once a fortnight to all of my clients. So you can also, I'm not going to go in it today because I want to keep things very email based, but you can create a website on Mailchimp as well. And we were talking about the integrations earlier. And I have a transactional email. I honestly, I haven't used that one. I think it's going to be linking in with Shopify, where you know, people actually there'll be a transaction. So you can see the Shopify symbol up there already. So I'm probably right. It sounds to me like a transactional is where someone actually makes a purchase somehow through sending that email out. You can link it in with your Shopify, so that if somebody goes to your website and purchases something and it comes back, well, that's called a transactional email. So I think that's what that is there. So if you're creating an email that is specifically about getting a transaction, specifically about getting money, we tend to send stuff out that's very informational. And if you want to find out more, go here. And it's the website that does the selling, not the email. So there's a couple of options there for you. Getting connected, I said I wasn't going to really go through them, but I'll just give you a rundown. You can see there is literally hundreds and hundreds of things that Mailchimp links into, and it works so well. And in fact, I can see that not all of them are here. My CRM system, which is called 17 Hats, links in with it, and it is not here. So there is just so many that I think Mailchimp cannot keep up with being able to get them all onto their website, because everybody's integrating with them. Apologies if you covered this earlier, Mr. Howard, but are you still covering a mailing list management? How are you still covering mailing list management of 3,000? Oh, so if you've got a mailing list of 3,000 to 4,000 contacts, is it via the tag separation for each database, 500,000 in order to maintain a free account? you won't be able to have 3,000. Will you be able to have 3,000 to 4,000 in a free account? For some reason, I thought it was only a 2,000 limit in the free account. I may be very well wrong there, but if it's not, what you are going to be able to do in Mailchimp, if you've got 4,000 contacts and you're on the free version, is going to be extremely limited. 3,000 to 4,000 emails is a lot to have. Throughout the time that we have been on Mailchimp, we've probably put 3,000 to 4,000 people through it. But there's certainly only 1,000 of them are actually active. So how to manage it, you would use tags and you would start sending emails out so that they automatically unsubscribe. Mailchimp starts cleaning them out. It's going to be a process. I had to do that with the Chamber of Commerce. They had an Excel spreadsheet, was their email list. And there was 17,000 people on that email list from, 20 something plus years of the chamber going. And we've got that down to 2,000 active now. So it's a process. It's a really long process. If you'd love, I'd love some help to be able to guide you, give you some help to be able to guide you on that. Even if you want to book in a little coffee session and we can have a Zoom one-on-one to book that in. Anybody on here today, if you're wanting to book in a little coffee session, I'm happy to do that as well. If you go to altitudebusinesssolutions.com.au/coffee, it'll give you the ability to book into my diary and we can have a little bit of a chat about your business and where you're at with your email. I'm really love to help you out with that. No problems whatsoever. Now, I'm conscious of the fact that we've got 10 minutes left and I am going to go a little bit over just because of those technical difficulties I had there in the middle. What I want to do now is I want to really quickly create an email for you because I just want to show you that side of it. I think we've got a clear understanding that Mailchimp is pretty much a superpower when it comes to sending out email and becoming your personal assistant. It's not very user-friendly. It's not very pretty. I don't think it's changed much in 13 years, if I'm completely honest with you. But I'm just going to go straight into creating mode for you now. So over to the left-hand side in the vertical menu, you see the very top option is create. I'm just going to click on that and I will turn my video off for this section just to make sure that everything stays stable for you guys. So it's then coming up asking you, what would you like to create? And it's giving me 3 options here. Now, you may not have all of these options if you don't have a paid account, but obviously with the paid account, I get access to everything. Do I want to design a regular email? Do I want to create a landing page? Because we spoke about Mailchimp being able to create websites. Landing pages is something that they also do. Or do I want to embed a form? Do I want to have a pop-up that comes up on my website, or like we have put the embedded form at the very bottom that says, hey, do you want to subscribe to get more stuff? I'm just going to say regular email. I'm going to assume most of us are here today because we just want to send out regular emails to our clients. I'm going to click design email and it's going to very slowly load for me. Now, it's at this point in time that your screen may look a little bit different to mine. So I don't want you to focus too much on the aesthetics of what you'll be looking at here and think of it in terms of the functionality. Simply because Mailchimp is in the process of having an upgrade and some people have access to the upgrade and some people don't. They are rolling it out, but they're rolling it out slowly. This particular page should be around about the same. So let's start from the top. First of all, it's saying to give your email a name. So I'm going to edit this just so I know what it is. And I'm going to say test so that I remind myself that it is a test. And I'm just going to call it March newsletter. Now, this is not for anybody else to see but you. This is just so you know what this email is about. The next thing it is asking, and this is where I say it's not very pretty, but it is very direct. Who are you going to send this campaign to? Remember, a campaign is another word for email or landing page, whatever it is that you are doing. So it's going to say add recipients, and it's going to ask me to choose an audience. So this is where if you have multiple brands and you have 2 audiences set up, you would be able to choose. If I click on one, you're going to see 2. You're going to see Altitude Business Solutions and you're going to see All Properties Group. We worked for a real estate agent, and we set up all of their Mailchimp for them. And we started out with an audience in our own account. You can see there's no subscribers in there now, so we never use it, but it just sits there. So I'm going to select Altitude Business Solutions. And you can see here straight away, once I've done that, it says, do you want to segment or tag? So this is where I would go, oh, I only want to send an email out to anyone who has the tag of Beenleigh Yattley Chamber of Commerce or like-minded ladies in Logan. So at this particular time, I'm just going to say, no, I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to send it to everybody. But if I wanted to send it to a particular tag, then this is where I would do that. So we're talking about managing those 3,000 to 4,000 people. If they have tags on them, this is where you can just send an email out to particular people. From here, it's saying this is a recommended tip to add merge tags to display your recipient's name to make it more personal and help to avoid spam filters. I always click yes on this, and I'm going to show you a little tip on this in a few minutes. And I always just select the first name. So what this means is I can have a personalized to field in my emails, which I'll show you. So please don't get overwhelmed by this information here now. Then it comes up saying, the next thing that we need to look at is who is this from? I'm going to select edit here because this would be blank if you've never done this before, but because I've done it before, it's pre-populating. But if I go edit form, first of all, I notice that it's just coming up Altitude, and I do this on purpose. I want to say Altitude Business Solutions. I want it to be my full business name. So you know the name that comes up over when you receive an email in the inbox and it says who it's from, it is going to say from Altitude Business Solutions. Okay, so you can select that and you can select the email address. And I've said the email address is altitudebusinesssolutions.com.au. You can put altitudebusinesssolutions.au@gmail.com. You can put any email address in there, any email address. The reader would see the email address because they'd see where the email came from, yes. So they would see that. So you can put any email address in here, though Mailchimp will want to verify it. They won't verify it at this stage, but later on in the process, they'll say, we just want to verify that this is the right email. They don't want to accidentally, you've made a typo and now this email is not going to work. So they'll verify that. So I'm going to say save because that is the right email address. So we are done there. What is the subject line? Add a subject line. Nice and easy. So I'm going to say March newsletter. A little bit boring, probably not really anything that people would open in a hurry. You could, it's got some tips here, keep it short and sweet. Emojis are great in small quantity, so you can add an emoji in there if you want to. Space is limited. It gives you a green tick to say, hey, great job, you're under 60 characters. When you get those emails where the subject line goes over, you can't read it. So that's really important. And then that's impressing. You got your point across without using too many punctuation marks. So these will go red and have crosses against them if it feels like it's not a good subject line. Other email programs do not do this kind of guiding you through. So this is really great, this best practices. You've got the preview text. Now, for those of you that are unsure what preview text is, some people have their emails set up so they can see not only the subject line, but maybe the first 100 characters of the email. You can actually, if you fill this out, you can control what those 100 characters are. So I could say to find out this month's free webinars and workshops. So that might be what's contained in that email. So March newsletter, that's great, but to find out this month's free webinars and workshops will be the little preview line that comes up. If you don't fill this out, okay, so let's say I deleted that out and I didn't fill it out. What will happen is their email server will automatically grab the first couple of lines of your email or the first up to 150 characters. So I don't mind whether you fill out this preview text or whether you're just conscious of the first couple of lines of your email text, but those two would be pulled out. And I'm going to save that. So that's all the information I want in there. Okay, so we know who we're sending it to. We know where it's coming from. We know what the subject line is. Now we're going to design the email. So we're going to click on Design Email. And it's at this point in time where your screen may look very different to mine, but it does generally do the same thing. And in fact, it might even be more user-friendly, because I have seen the new version and I've used the new version. Yeah, it is very different. So from here, this is where you can select what your email is going to look at. There's a couple of things that I'm going to show you here. In the free version, you only have access to a few templates. I have access to a lot of templates because I have the paid version. So you might not have any of these down the bottom. You can see it's very basic. It's not very pretty, is it? It's very hard to get an idea of what it's like. But I know with the free version, I'm going to be using this Sell Products one because I know that that's definitely one in the free version. What I'm not sure is available in the free version or not is whether themes are available. You'll notice on the horizontal menu as we go across, you're never going to code your own. I don't think any of this are that technical. It's talking about campaigns. We're not going to go there. Saved templates. I'm not going to go there today either, but I am just going to touch on themes. I'm not sure if this is in the free version or not, but this is using those very boring layouts that you just saw and giving you a bit more of a visual of what those look like. Okay, so to give you an example, this one up here, this fall colors one, I very quickly used this last year to send out a Merry Christmas email. All I did was change the photo in the background to be more Christmassy, but it was pretty much the right color. And that was very quick for me to send out. So I'm not sure if this is available in the free version, but it is available in the paid version that you can go to themes. And you can see the different types, like this one here is a little bit plain, but it has the 3 columns. So you've got things kind of set up there for you. Event ones, that works really well for events as well. Register your details. So these just templates to make it easier for you. Again, as I said, I'm not sure if this view is available in the free version, but it's under themes. So at the very top on your horizontal menu, you'll notice layouts, which is the first page and everybody has access to. And then there is the themes, which gives you a bit more of a visual. So if I go back into layouts, I'm going to select this first one, which is Sell Products, because I know that that one is available in the free, and I'm just clicking on it so that it goes into it. And it's at this point where your screen may look a little different to mine. In the new version of Mailchimp, if you're all relatively new, they're moving to what's called a drop and drag editor. So very similar to a lot of websites that you see where you can actually drag the elements onto the page. And mine has not changed over to that. I did trial it. I was part of the trial for it. And I did test it all out, but mine hasn't changed over yet, which is very surprising considering how often I use it. But on my one, I have to actually click into each section to be able to edit it. On the new one, if I decide that I want text in a particular, I just come over to the side, click on the text button, which is over to the right-hand side, and drag it into the email. So that's the way they're moving. So very similar to a lot of other programs that you use where you have that drop and drag feature. You will notice it has automatically picked up my logo, because when you set your account up, you can upload your logo, and so it will automatically pull that into your email straight away. And it's from here that you can just simply start editing. So if I was to go in and change this background color, I can change that to yellow. I can change it to blue if I wanted to, or red. So you can change all of that. You can upload images. I'm not going to do that because I know that that takes a little bit of internet, and I want to make sure I get through everything. Same as what you normally would in the majority of programs. You just click image. It asks you to upload your image, and you can put it into your little header there. You can change the size of this header. So you'll notice if I go with those arrows, so the arrows are just located as I hover over the line, I can drag up and down. I can make that header bigger or as small as I possibly can. I also don't want this wording in here. So if I click on that box, you'll notice as I do so, a little garbage bin comes up over to the right-hand side. I can just delete that out. It's going to say, are you sure? I love this feature. Sometimes we get a bit click happy on our screens. So yes, I am sure, but sometimes you're like, oh no, I didn't mean to delete something. So now I've just got a small header, but again, I can make that bigger if I wanted it bigger. When you upload a photo into this header section, you are when it comes to the size, you will be limited on how small you can go depending on the size of the image. So you'll notice my logo is in there. I can't make that header any smaller than that logo image. It has to be big enough to fit that in, unless I delete that logo out, okay? And then same down here, it's this, because this is a template, it's entered in and it makes it nice and easy. So if I was to click, I'm just going to click add a photo. And there's a couple of things I'm going to show you here. So firstly, this is just a generic photo that Mailchimp puts in. I'm going to say replace. So if you're looking over to the right-hand side, I'm going to click on replace. It is going to take you into all of my uploaded images. So these are all of the images that I've ever uploaded into Mailchimp, and there is pages of them because I've been with them for a long time. If I wanted to upload a new image, you'll notice in the top right-hand corner, it says upload. So I simply just upload from my computer and bang, it is uploaded. But just for the sake of today, so I'm not wasting any more time, I'm just going to select an image that is already here. And I'll just go for this one. I'll go packaging and pricing your services. So I've ticked that first one over there, and you'll notice that a little tick has come up. If I click it again, it goes off. So tick it. Clicking on the image ticks it, and clicking on it again turns it off. Up in the top right-hand corner, I'm going to say insert, and it is going to insert that image into the email. It's a couple of really important things that I want you to consider when putting in images. Please always have a link to something, to your website, to this, this is an event, to be able to buy tickets. People are so used to clicking, particularly on a mobile phone, clicking on an image with their finger and being able to go somewhere. Don't waste the opportunity. You'll notice over to the right-hand side, it's coming up with an error message that says this image is so big, it might cause slow load times or get clipped in people's email boxes. What do? Let's fix it. So if I click on those words, let's fix it, it's going to open this up. I want to show you how easy this is because everyone always gets confused at this point. So you click on let's fix it, you look at it and you go, gee, that looks pretty good. And then you select save. Ridiculous, I know. I hope that this actually changes with the upgrade. But there you go. Now that image is not going to inundate mailboxes. I didn't actually do anything. I simply said, okay, let's fix it. And it opened it up. It literally fixes it itself. So I don't need to do anything. You can change the size of the image by moving this toggle. You notice that that is getting smaller as I drag it down, and as I drag it up, it gets bigger. But that is the full size of that image there. You'll notice next to the image over to the right-hand side, just above where it says Creative Assistant, there is a replace, edit, link, and alt. What I want to make sure you do is every single image that you send out in an email, I want to make sure that it has a link to something. And you'll notice when I click on that link button, it comes up saying, well, you can link to a website, an email, a file, or a landing page. We're not going to do file or landing page or anchor link. We're just going to say link to a website address. And I'm going to say link to my Altitude Business Solutions website, and I'm going to say insert. So what that means is if somebody clicks on that link, they're going to end up on my website. If they click on that picture, they're going to end up there. So it's getting people to my website. So now that I've actually edited everything in there, sorry, let me just close off this little annoying thing down here. There we go. Now you can see the save and close button. So it's at the bottom over to the right-hand side. The reason why I show you this is the old version of Mailchimp, and I know that there's a new one coming. But the old version, people always go, oh, I made all these changes and then it didn't work in the image. And that's because they didn't save it down the bottom here. The new version, it skips all of that process. So if you have the old version, you will have to save and close. So over to the right-hand side at the bottom, you'll notice save and close. So we're going to save and close. And then all of our options of what we can add in come up. Now, anything that you are seeing on this screen already is editable. So you click on the wording and you'll notice to the right-hand side, it comes up over here and we can edit it. We can edit the size, the font, the color. If I click on style, you notice it gives you all of those options, just like it would in Word. So you can center it, have it to the left, do all sorts of things. So that's just like a Word document. You can have certain words that link. So, read here. Thank you so much, Sandra. I'm sorry I've gone a few minutes over. We'll see you next time. So from in here, that's how you edit the words and everything like that as well. But what I want to show you very quickly is how you can get some more of these elements in. So let's say you said, yes, this template is great, but I actually wanted to add in another bit of text and I want to enter it in over here. So it's a drop and drag thing. So from here, you grab this and you drag it over and see as I'm moving it up and down, it's actually telling me where I can put it. See the blue line that's coming up saying drop block here. I can't put it where it won't let me. I can't put it next to that button. It's not going to let me do that. So this is where people complain about the design of Mailchimp, you're not being able to do things, but really it's here nor there. I'm going to drop it there. And now you have a text box that you can edit there. And again, in the styling, if you go to styling, you can say size, color, anything that you want to have in there. If you decide that that's not where you want it, you can move it. You can duplicate it. Sorry, I just duplicated it then. You can move it over to the left-hand side by grabbing the little move and moving it up and down. And you can also duplicate it. If you don't like it, you can delete it. Now, the difference between this old version and the new version is on the new version, if you want to edit this text, rather than you clicking on the text and having to edit it over to the right-hand side, you will actually be editing it here in the actual email. So it's a little bit more user-friendly in terms of that. So does anyone have any questions? Because I know where I'm going over time and I just want to make sure, but does it seem very easy? It's just about getting in there and doing it. It has all the features that a Word document would have. You are able to collect links and all that kind of thing. Excellent. Oh, I will just quickly touch on the nightmare with bounces or spam. When it comes to spam, if you are using an email address, let's say I was using Kerrie@altitudebusinesssolutions.com.au. The majority of email servers like Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, they will assume that that is a sales email and put it into the spam. It just automatically happens. It's more so based on the email that you are sending. That's why when you meet people and you are adding people in, the expectation of when you add them in is really important. If I meet somebody and they say that I'm going to send them an email and I send them an email, the next step for me is to follow it up with a phone call. Just wanted to make sure you got my email from last week. Did you have any questions? Because then when they go, actually, no, I didn't get your email, they might check their spam to find it. So it is about the follow-up, keeping those people on there. There is a little bit more to it. The follow-up is really important because you will land in spam, and that doesn't matter what program you use. Now people go, oh, when I use Mailchimp, they always land in spam. It doesn't matter what program you use. It's about the actual, the mail provider. Mailchimp has a very good reputation and they work very hard to try and stay out of that. Your subject lines will have a little bit to do with it as well. So for example, if I put 50% off today on women's clothing, hello Rockmans, you're going to land in my spam because of the way I have my spam filter set up on my email, that my Gmail recognizes that that is spam and sends it there for me. The other thing is too, if I start receiving emails like that and I keep marking them as spam or I keep deleting them, your email server will learn from that and go, well, we're not going to keep putting this stuff in her inbox because she's clearly not reading it and she's just deleting it. So we're going to start putting it into spam. That's why you end up with so many emails in your spam. So yeah, hopefully a lot of information here today. I know Mailchimp is a massive, massive program, but basically you just follow through the steps. So up in the top right-hand corner, let's say we had edited everything we wanted to here. We would then go continue, and it is going to take us back to that home page. Actually surprised I've been able to keep 11 of you on with me after we're supposed to be gone. We could be nearly having lunch together now. Slowly, slowly, here we go. So you notice, how I was talking to you earlier about the red crosses that come up when something's not right or wrong. So you'll notice here, it's giving me a red cross next to content. It is also giving me some crosses in here because there was a number of images in there that I hadn't changed over and wording that I hadn't changed. So it's trying to warn me, hey, you don't really want to send this, do you? There's these images. So it does have these factors in place. When I was talking to you earlier about being able to link in your social media, this is where you would do it here. So as you scroll down, if I said add social media post to your campaign and I click this on, it is going to ask me to select a page. I have already linked in my personal Facebook. So any page that I manage is going to come up here. And then I'm going to go through and probably at the bottom, here it is, Altitude Business Solutions. I'm going to click on that. And then here you can change the wording. Don't ever delete out this URL because that'll lead them to the actual email, to the newsletter that you've sent out. So I might say free webinars, find out more. And then if I say add an image, it is going to take me back to my image library. I can select an image and say insert. And then I can save that message. And so that is pretty much what the post will look like on Facebook. So it will automatically post to Altitude Business Solutions. The wording above it will say free webinars, find out more. And then it will have the actual link to be able to go to the newsletter. And then it will give this picture of packaging and pricing of services. And you can also link multiple. So you can say Twitter and Instagram as well. And that's the entire scroll down. So we've gotten to the bottom of that. Now, Mailchimp is not going to let us send this email. You'll notice up in the top right-hand corner, it's finish later, schedule or send. It is not allowing me to schedule or send because it knows that there is mistakes in that email. So if you get to this point and you go, I've got to this point so many times and Mailchimp won't let me send an email, have a look at what your errors are. It is telling me that there is 2 images in there that shouldn't be there. It is asking me to replace a photo and there's 2 more things in there. So, it's telling me my little social media dots that are in that email are not activated. So don't ignore it, go in and fix those things and you'll notice these things will come up available to be able to send. But that's pretty much all it is to send an email. If that was all right, I would go send and I would send it out. Because I have a paid account, I have the ability to schedule that in. So I can schedule that in and say, you know what, send it on Friday at 10 o'clock and it sends it at Friday at 10 o'clock. I don't have to go in and do anything. It's already done. So has that totally overwhelmed you guys? A lot of information. Mailchimp is really, you can do a lot with it. And that's why when I meet people that say, oh, I just found Mailchimp too basic and it didn't do the things that I wanted to do. Wow, this is a powerhouse. This email platform is absolutely amazing. And I've tried multiple of others, as I was telling you guys earlier. Flowdesk is another one that's new and out there. And I know that if you're on the trial version of that, you would have got that at half price, but that has doubled in price now. And I know it is one price for as many subscribers as you can get, but it does not have the capability of Mailchimp. Mailchimp is worth every single cent that you will ever pay towards it. You just need to be prepared to utilize it. But if you're looking for a really fast way to be able to grow your email, then Mailchimp is definitely the way to go. Email marketing, big one for email marketing. You really got to share that across. I'm just trying to get my little, here we go, get my little presentation back up on the screen here for you. Let's bring this up here, just so I can make sure I cover off everything that I need to. So thanks so much, guys, for staying with me the whole time. I know it's not always easy when these go a little bit over. I understand you guys have your own business to get to as well. So you will need to watch the recording of this one. There's been a lot of information that has come out today. But there's 3 basic components of Mailchimp. So I want to bring it back to being simple for you as well. There's the audience. So that is the people that you are going to be sending the email out to. There is the campaign and there is the tags. They're the 3 main things in Mailchimp. The tags will help you organize your audience. and the campaigns and the emails that you are sending out. They use the name campaigns to describe that. They're the three main components that there is. We've been in and had a look online. I've answered your questions as we have gone through. Our next webinar, not so complicated as this one, but if you're a Gmail user, of which we know 43% of my email audience is, I am going to show you a simple system for cleaning out your inbox using some features that you may not know are in there, which are really, really helpful. It is only an hour webinar, so it's not as intense as this workshop has been today. But we're going to go through and I'm going to show you in a inbox how to literally get it sorted and give you some tips. Because if you're like me, you can get up to 300 emails a day and you need to have a system in place that will automatically sort them a little bit for you. So if you're a Gmail user, I would be registering for that one because you'll get a copy of the recording and there'll be lots of valuable information in there. Wednesday, the 16th of March is when it's on. Webinar Wednesday is when I always do things. So between 10 and 11 a.m. Queensland time, for those of you that are in Queensland, otherwise Western Australia and Northern Territory times are there as well. You've got the Digital Solutions Program, $44 for 7 hours worth of mentorship. And I want to explain this. The 7 hours includes 3 hours one-on-one with experts. So in our first session together, for example, it may be established that you need help with email, social media, and cybersecurity. So based on that first session, we would say, okay, I'll take the session on social media or email, whatever it is. I'm going to recommend you go and see Dante for another session, and I'm going to recommend Tony for cybersecurity. So, and we will set you up with those experts. In terms of the other 4 hours, or 4 sessions is based on these webinars and workshops. So after we have that conversation, we assess you and we say, right, you also need to go to these workshops and these webinars, and that'll give you all of the information you need. Now, these webinars and workshops are free. It's just about us guiding you through that 7 hours of mentorship so that you are seeing and getting to see what you want in the end. Now, if you want to book with me personally, I'd love that. Love to see you personally. You can go to businessstation.com.au/Kerrie, and that's Kerrie. Otherwise, go to the Business Station website at businessstation.com.au and look underneath the advisors, and you'll see all of the top quality advisors from across the country that come up there as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining with me, staying with me. I'm going to go and have a big drink of water now, but please connect with me over social media. I'm a social media manager, so I'm on all of the platforms, not something I advise for all business owners, but I am on all the platforms. Please come over and connect with me on all of those. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me, head to my website. I'd love to be able to help you guys out. A very overwhelming session to have 10 of you here an hour and 15 minutes after I started, 2 hours and 15 minutes after I've started is amazing. Thanks so much. Have a fantastic day, guys. Go forth and grow your business with email. It's the #1 thing that will help you out. Have a great day.